If Mikal Bridges didn't go to Villanova, would you hate what the Sixers did last night? Because the truth is, Sam Hinkie might have been in the building last night because this was a Sam Hinkie type of trade. You move back 6 spots, you get an unprotected first-round pick in return, and you got a guy in Zhaire Smith who is basically Mikal Bridges with more upside. I thought this was a great trade by the Sixers. We're going to talk about the NBA draft from last night. Kyle Gaffner is here. I am Adrian Fedke. So I thought it was a great trade, but Zhaire Smith, that's my guy. I've been high on him all season long. I had Mikal Bridges as my 9th-ranked prospect, while Smith was my 10th. So as you can see right there, there's no separation in terms of my opinion. But what about you? Did you like what the Sixers did last night?
At first, it was a shock to my system. I loved that we took Mikal Bridges. I didn't care that he went to Nova. That didn't really bother me. That didn't matter to me at all. You know, whatever his mom worked for it, the Sixers organization, it just would have been a great story. But what I liked about him was he was a plug-and-play guy. He can defend all the positions, which Zhaire can do, but he can shoot. He's a spot-up shooter. He's very prolific from behind the arc, and that's kind of where Zhaire's a little bit rough around the edges because he's a little bit younger. He's more of a raw project rather than a finished project like Mikal is. But there's no upside with Mikal. You know what you're going to get. He's a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, and you know, obviously Bridges came out his junior year, whereas Smith was a freshman. So he's got 2 years on Bridges has 2 years on Smith, and has already lost out on some of that, you know, development. So with Smith, the can't shoot thing is a false narrative. He shot 43s during the regular season. That's not a lot. It's a small sample size. I get that. 18 of 40 during the year. But if you watched his growth and you watched his progression as the year went along, he took more and more threes as that season went along. He became more comfortable with his shot. There was improvement in terms of his form. The 72% free throw shooting, that conveys shooting potential for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. I mean, you look at Kawhi Leonard, he was like 74%. In college, they said that he couldn't shoot, and he became a pretty respectable corner shooter. So with Smith, I'm looking at a year or two from now, he can become a respectable shooter. I don't think he'll be the shooter that Mikal Bridges is going to be, but I think he'll be respectable enough. And there are things that Smith can do that Mikal Bridges cannot do. And I guess I'll get in that in a second. But in terms of the shooting, I think there's potential there. I'm not talking about a great shooter, but a respectable shooter. And you look at how the Sixers play, Ben Simmons' drive and kick ability, he's going to get a lot of open looks. And I think he can knock them down.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I'm going to rock with my Sixers regardless of what they did. It was just a surprise to me. But if you look at what he can do, we got killed on the perimeter last year. We needed a guy that was going to be able to defend. We can't just have Rocco rolling out there with Bellinelli and JJ getting eaten up every single time. So you definitely want to go after a guy that's going to be able to shut down the opposition, and he can guard a lot of positions. He's got a huge freaky length. I mean, talk about close to 7-foot wingspan. Just like Mikal Bridges, and that is all I was worried about, if he's going to be able to shoot. It's a raw project, so I feel like people get upset that, well, we have to wait another few years for this kid to develop. But if you look at the upside, you know, it makes sense. You got to do what's best for the organization. I know people want to win now, and that's probably why I looked at it like, okay, Mikal is perfect. You want to win now, you add to what we did last season. But if you look at it in retrospect, that would be nice. Who knows what Zhaire could be? It's always that, you know, not knowing that really intrigues you. So I'm okay with this pick too. It would have been cool to have him here, but I'm still going to rock out with it. So getting a lockdown defender like that, that's dope, dude. And to be having a high flyer like that, to be able to do some back cuts and bend a really alley-oop and just be on SportsCenter with a couple jams, and the dude can rebound. Yeah, I love that.
Second too. I'll get into that in a second too. So there's a lot of different intriguing traits that Smith brings to the table. So I talked about the shooting thing. You know, that's not really the part of his game that I'm really that, you know, I guess adamant about, because it's his defense, and that you just brought that up. And you look at Boston, and how are you going to beat Boston over the next decade? You need some wing defenders. You need guys that can stop Tatum, stop Jaylen Brown. You're going to have Kyrie Irving in the fold, Gordon Hayward in the fold. So you look at a guy like Zaire Smith, he could potentially be the guy that's on Kyrie Irving. So whoever Ben Simmons, whatever matchup does not cater to Ben Simmons, Zaire Smith can simply take that guy because Zaire Smith can guard anybody. Mm-hmm. You could see the fluidity in his movements and his instincts on defense and the way that he can move and gain a lot of ground on his closeouts. So you put him on anybody, and that kind of lets Ben Simmons kind of rove around, do whatever the hell he wants to do on the defensive end. Because Ben Simmons is a good defender, but there are guards, these quick guards that do get the best of him. And these quick guards, all of a sudden, put Zaire Smith on him and problem solved.
It's perfect. And I think what made up for Mikal, with his length not being so fluid in his hip, not having that foot speed, he made up for his length. But Zaire has both. He's got quick feet.
Zaire Smith is going to be a better defender than Mikal Bridges.
Yeah. He could possibly even maybe be Defensive Player of the Year maybe once or twice. But I think you're right. I think he will become maybe an all-star or two. This is good. And if you remember back in 2004 when we took a guy that was very defensive-minded, Andre Iguodala, he's made a really good name for himself in the league for years on end, being able to shut down multiple people. And he, too, couldn't really shoot. And over the years, he developed a shot. But if you look at Zaire's form, it's nice. It's not like Andre Iguodala's, the Aaron McKee's, where it's just hideous, just awful to watch. Yeah. It is very nice. It's fluid, good form. It's got good arc to it. So I hope the kid gets in there and puts his nose to the grindstone. And I think we got a hard worker here. Blue-collar kid.
If you watch his form, tell me it doesn't remind you of Kawhi Leonard.
It does. It literally looks just like it.
Yeah.
It does.
Crazy, man. I'm not saying he's Kawhi Leonard now. Don't put words in my mouth. Just said the form is like his.
Brett Brown.
All right. So you talked about the rebounding earlier. His offensive rebounding, he's going to be one of the best offensive rebounding guards in the NBA. His athleticism, the way that he can just leap over people, grab the offensive rebound, and he's going to have a lot of these highlight reel type putbacks. I mean, he did it all season long at Texas Tech. But the offensive rebounding is very important because the Sixers shoot a lot of three-pointers, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy, I mean, you think of that three-pointer that just clanks off the rim, and it just ricochets high up into the air. So you think about a guy that needs to have athleticism to high point that ball on the offensive glass. That's what Zaire Smith is going to do. So he'll run in from, like, the left wing, and he'll just snatch this ball out of the air and give the Sixers extra possession. So that's another thing you're going to have to watch out for with his game.
And I'd like to throw a stat out there, too. With his rebounding, for a guy that's 6'4", he had more blocks than Marvin Bagley, and he had more rebounds than Jaren Jackson. Now, those two guys went 2 and 4, respectively, in this draft. And they're also almost 7 foot tall. So that just goes to show you what this kid can really do. You know he's going to be really a staple in the defensive end, coming over weak side blocks, because people were comparing him to KJ McDaniels. I just want to say that's an insult when they were saying he's KJ McDaniels. No. He's nothing like.
I also heard Justin Anderson, and
oh God, no,
not a good no. Justin Anderson is stiff. Zaire Smith, there's nothing stiff about him. He's fluid as fuck, dude.
Yeah, he's a rock. I mean, he's a rock. You look at Justin Anderson's a bull. You look at this dude. He's just very fluid. He's got quick feet and long arms. So, like you said, we shoot a lot of threes, and we were one of the top rebounding teams. So you add a guard that can go out there and rebound. It's all upside for us right now. It's good. I didn't like I said, I was in shock last night, but I had a night to sleep on it, and I really am starting to like this trade.
I immediately loved it. I reacted because we had the PI Philly Influencer draft show last night, and when the news came in, I was like, "This is fucking awesome!" And I was the 1% in Philadelphia that liked this trade last night. Everybody was ready to run Brett Brown out of town. I'll tell you that. And it's funny because trusters of the process should have loved this trade because this is the epitome of a process type of move. Yeah, that asset, that first round unprotected pick that you can now use to potentially acquire a superstar maybe at some point. Doesn't have to be Kawhi Leonard. I guess we'll get into that in a second too. But it could be even for somebody like a year from now, 2 years from now. You throw that trade chip out there. When that Miami pick and we see them getting bad, if Miami becomes bad and all of a sudden that's a top 10 pick, you can acquire somebody with that. So all of a sudden you got Zaire Smith and potentially a star down the line that you can potentially get with that pick. Hey, this is a great trade. People don't know it.
Accumulate assets. That's what it's all about. And how do you stay going? You're on the top. You continue to draft well. You obtain assets. That's what you really got to do. So, yeah, you look at it 3 years from now, but that could be intriguing. Miami doesn't have any stars on it. Who? You have no building blocks.
Wade Wade's going to retire.
And they've got nothing. They've got nothing.
They can be a top 10 pick in 3 years.
Easily. That being unprotected was huge. That was the whole key to that trade, was obtaining a first round.
They got more value than what Atlanta got when with the trade up from 5 to 3.
Yeah.
It's got more value. They got an unprotected first. The other pick was top 5 protected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Atlanta was stupid for
yeah. Trae Young. I guess we'll get into that in a little bit too. All right, so you know what? Let's keep the trade talk going here. So the one thing that we are kind of afraid of is these Kawhi Leonard rumors and what it potentially might take to acquire him. If they get Leonard and they don't have to involve Markelle Fultz, I would probably pull the trigger.
Yeah.
The problem is Markelle Fultz is most likely going to have to be included in this deal. And a lot of people obviously have given up on Fultz. I'm not one of them, and I would not trade Markelle Fultz for Kawhi Leonard. I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't either, and I don't know how much value Fultz really has at this point with only playing 14 games. He doesn't really have a leg to stand on at this point. So, and the other thing is, too, they drafted Lonnie Walker. So they got DeJounte Murray. They drafted Lonnie Walker, and then you figure Markelle Fultz, why would he be in the deal? So that makes me think, I don't know if they would chase him. Then we did acquire that pick, and you think, could we throw that into the trade for Kawhi Leonard? Well, I don't know if Popovich really wants to wait that long. That's 3 years down the road, possibly even 4. So that really doesn't hold any ground either. So I don't really know if we are going to try to go after him, but Sarge would have to be in the deal. It would have to be Sarge, Fultz, and a couple first-round picks, whether it's ours and maybe you throw that 2021 in there. But it's so far down the road. Popovich is getting up there. He's not a young man anymore. He's a little long in the tooth. Maybe for taking over for Becky Hammon, they throw that in there, but I don't really know. The unprotected picks are very coveted in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. Dude. People really like Mikal Bridges. I get it. He's a hometown guy. But I went to Temple. So for me, there's an unbiased because I fucking hate Villanova. All right? I hated that they won the national championship. I hated that they've won it twice now. I'm a Temple guy. I don't like there is no bias with me when it comes to evaluating Mikal Bridges. So that's why I feel like, my opinion on the matter means more than these, Villanova guys that just wanted Mikal Bridges because he's from Philly.
It was just a nice feel-good story. So
it's a great story, but the NBA is a business.
Right,
we want championships. We want rings. We don't want feel-good stories that make it into the back of the fucking newspaper.
Doesn't matter. It's all about getting the best player available and what's going to benefit the organization. Would it have been cool? Yeah, but at the end of the day, he took it like a man. He didn't care. He was ready to get to work. They interviewed him. He was ready to go and get ready for Phoenix. So, when he comes to town, everybody cheers him on, and then you get back to work. It is what it is.
Yeah. So, all right. There's that. All right. I guess we can get into Landry Shamet a little bit. This was an interesting pick because, I didn't really get it in some ways. You have Ben Simmons. You have Markelle Fultz. You have T.J. McConnell, and you draft another point guard. I know he can probably, play a little bit off the ball. Not a good defender. He's a shooter. I wasn't crazy about this pick. I thought there, like a guy like Kyrie Thomas, for instance, was the guy I would have taken. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is they actually wound up taking him in the second round, then they traded him. But yeah, Landry Shamet, I'm sure other people probably liked him more than I did. He is what he is. I don't think he can defend a lick.
No, he definitely can't. And he's got a good size, and he's good from the free throw line. He can knock down three-pointers, very efficient there. And it came from a good program, too, with the Shockers. I thought maybe he'd fall to the second round. I didn't think he'd stay in the first round. And it makes you think, where is TJ in this evaluation? Are they going to bring him back? Because you got Ben Simmons. I think Markelle Fultz will be put into the starting lineup as shooting guard. And then you got Shamet that could run the ball as the backup point guard, unless they figure TJ could maybe come off the ball and not be the point. I don't know. Unless they envision him being a two guard, I don't see that. He's got to have the ball in his hand to be effective. He's a pick and pop guy.
Yeah, the thing about Wichita State this year, you think of the Shockers and you think of this great defensive team year in, year out, but this year it wasn't like that. And Shamet was like one of the main star players, obviously, and he was a guy that couldn't defend. They became offensive oriented, and Shamet is one of the reasons why. So, sure, you can do a lot of things on the offensive end. I don't know how I think he lacks some athleticism. I don't know if how much that's gonna hurt him. But he can shoot, so I'll give him that. I think he's got some basketball IQ. I think there's some qualities there. I'm just not crazy about him. It's whatever. It was a whatever pick to me.
I would have loved to have Kyrie, Thomas too. That was awesome that we got him, dude.
Yeah.
He can shoot prolific from behind the arc, can defend. He's got a huge wingspan, 6'10". Another guy that's really gritty on the perimeter.
Kyrie Thomas is basically Mikal Bridges too.
Yeah. Yeah, another guy but better, right. So the Pistons, I thought, got a steal there. We got rid of all our second-round picks, which was no surprise, which means, you're saving your roster spots and you're going to make a big push to try to land a LeBron James or whoever in the offseason. That's what all this meant. And also, by trading down those 6 spots, we saved $1 million. We did. We saved $1 million.
I laugh at that. That's funny. But yeah, all those all the money you can save is obviously a good thing. Anything you can do. So obviously free agency is next, and that's why this show is called Bridging the Gap with a question mark. Is this going to be an off season where they can bridge the gap between what they are, the Celtics are, and the Warriors are? Because obviously there's talent here, but they're not ready to surpass Boston or Golden State just yet.
And Boston is still going to be a thorn on our sides because they're going to be lobbying to get Kyrie to try to get Kawhi too. They tried last offseason. They have a lot more ammunition than we do, and they improved greatly. I was hoping the Sixers would take that kid out of Texas A&M, that center, because we need a backup center, good rebounder and shot blocker. Yeah, and he fell to Boston at the end of the first round. I thought maybe we'd take him with the 26, but he snuck over there to Beantown.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a solid pick for them. I like that pick for them. It's like you're trying to answer Boston in this draft, and Mikal Bridges would have been an answer, but so is Zaire Smith. Mm-hmm. And you talked about all those assets. I think all those assets are going to go towards Anthony Davis at some point. I think that's where they're going, and they're going to be so stacked in a couple years. So hopefully. The Sixers get something done this offseason where they can land somebody, because the Boston Celtics are going to be landing guys too.
Yeah, and they've got a lot more assets to do it. And I think you're right. I think they're going to be lobbying to get him. Pelicans to try to just get as much as they can for him and just start that rebuild as it is. I don't know if they're going to be able to obtain Boogie Cousins either. Imagine him on that roster, though. It's just not even fair if they can land AD. Good God, how would we compete with that? Yeah. We really have to just keep bringing – we got to bring Sam Hinkie back. We need to get a GM in here.
Sam Hinkie had to have been in Brett Brown's ear last night. and Brett Brown just learned stupendously, because that was such a process move. I said it earlier, but that was such a process move to drop back 6 spots. You get a player that's, in my opinion, pretty much just as good as Mikal Bridges, and you get a first-round pick in return that's unprotected. Just typical.
That's a Hink. That's a Hinkie move.
Sam Hinkie move.
I love it. I love it. We got to get this man back in there. I like Brett as the GM, though. You know, that wasn't a bad move for his first time.
Yeah. I thought he did well, dude. I was so scared coming in, like, oh man, dude, like, I hope they don't trade into the top 5, and then you heard that report that wound up. Well, we kind of talked about it texting wise. It was the report that said like Fultz and the 26th and whatever it was to move up into the top 5 to go get Michael Porter. You know, sometimes these reports are erroneous. You disagreed with me, but I felt like this was an erroneous report. I thought that was way too much, especially for a guy, Michael Porter. I'm a big Michael Porter guy. The back injury actually now does worry me a little bit more than originally, because we talked about that too. But if you fall back to 14, okay, now I'm a little bit leery of and a little bit worried about that back. But Michael Porter, to me, like, I thought he was like the Jason Tatum of this draft. His ability to shoot the basketball and make his own shot. I thought there was some Tatum to his game, but this back injury, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think they're going to redshirt him out there in Denver. They've got a really good.
The other thing about the report was that the Sixers were just going to redshirt him and not play him the entire year.
You'd have to with a back injury like that. You know, when you've got your lower vertebrae like that affected at only 18 years old, you want to mess up the kid's, not only his future, but being able to walk even. You know, so you don't want to risk that. And I don't think Brett would want to go through another year of doing that, because he went through all that with Sam Hinkie and the early years of his career. So taking a chance on Michael Porter would have been cool. The guy is probably the best shooting big man in the whole draft, and he could have easily been the consensus #1 if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah. All right, I guess we can kind of talk about the second round a little bit. I don't know how interested our fans are going to be, but they basically traded every second-round pick except for Shake Milton from SMU.
Yeah, I think we did a trade with Dallas because we took Spalding and then we took little Antetokounmpo, packaged him to get Shake Milton, who's I think a guard, shooting guard, combo guard out of SMU, I believe.
Yep.
Can do a little bit of everything. Can shoot, is long, athletic. Can get to the lane and score a little bit. But, yeah, you knew that was going to happen. You knew we were going to keep these picks. We traded the one earlier the day before to L.A. for some cash considerations and another second-round pick. We loaded up on more second-round picks, Adrian. I mean, we just keep adding in all these second-round picks on. We got 4 second-round picks now to add to the slew that we already had. But you're trying to save as much money in roster spots to go after somebody big in free agency. There is just no room for these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of saw that coming in, although I would have liked to keep Kyrie Thomas out. Yep. All right, let's just kind of talk about the draft in general. I thought Dallas was a big winner in getting Luka Doncic. That was my #1 player in the draft. And, you know, the thing about Doncic that's funny is we've had, like, draft previews in years past where I always, like, make fun of, like, the European guys because I'm like, you know, you guys aren't actually watching these guys. You're actually not actually watching the EuroLeague games. You're just watching highlights. Don't judge your opinion on highlights. Well, I actually went and watched some games of Luka Doncic and Real Madrid, so this was breaking my mold. But I was really curious to see what he brings to the table, and I really liked what I saw. I think he's like he's a Ben Simmons light. So that kind of says to me 2 things. One, this wasn't really that great of a class that the best player is a Ben Simmons light. But I think there's something there. And I think he's got a lot of creativity with his dribble and his passing. And I think he's going to be great for Dallas.
He's got great vision. And I thought it was bold for Mark Cuban to go up and get his guy. So now you can build around him and Dennis Smith Jr.
Yep.
It was worth it to only give up a protected first-round pick that's top 5 protected. So you're basically giving nothing up to get possibly a star in this draft. And it is interesting because nobody really stood out in this draft to be a consensus all-star or superstar. You didn't know who was going to be what. So I'm interested to see how this draft compares to other in previous drafts. But they were comparing him to – I haven't watched Luka Doncic, so I can't really comment or say anything. But I saw what little stuff they showed during the draft. It looked like he had some great vision. He can shoot it a little bit. So it'll be fun to watch him.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. Like, there was not a star in this draft. Now, there may wind up being one, and doesn't mean, you know, it won't happen. But like for instance, like DeAndre Ayton was the #1 pick, and they're comparing him to Joel Embiid.
No,
he's not Joel Embiid.
No,
he's not. And Joel Embiid already tweeted about it. He doesn't play defense like him. I think Ayton will be okay. I think he'll be a solid player, and that's the thing, man. I think a lot of these guys are going to be solid. I just don't see superstars. So there may not be necessarily busts in this draft, but maybe disappointment in what you think they might be. So you look at a guy like Ayton, he's a 20-10 guy at Arizona, but you look at those 20 points per game. I mean, he's just overwhelming people that are smaller than him on the block.
Yeah.
Now you look at the NBA level, and you got guys that are going to be just as big as him, just as physical as him. Is he going to be able to handle himself? Because I think he needs to refine some of his post moves. He's a guy that likes to take a lot of mid-range jumpers. He settles for jumpers a lot. And I don't think that's a good thing, especially for a guy his size. So there are things, and they're just concerns I have, but not like it's not like that concerning to the point where I think he's going to be a bust. I just don't see superstar.
And I was concerned about his hustle, his motor. Is he going to really give it his all night in and night out? You saw him take off during his time in Arizona. He was dominant, obviously, because he was more superior to them, because he was just physically bigger, could manhandle people. Well, when you get to the NBA, it's a little bit different. You know, everybody has like attributes of yours. So he has to refine his post moves. He gets a little jumper happy, kind of like Embiid does, but he is not the defenseman that Embiid is at all. I think he's very lackadaisical. A lot of these guys are. Nobody really, in the first couple 5 picks aren't really like defensive shutdown guys. You look at Marvin Bagley. Doesn't really play any defense, is an offensive stud, though. He reminded me of Maury Stoudemire, and I like that pick by the Kings, too.
I'm not like crazy about Bagley either. I think he's I don't know how to describe him. I don't think he's good enough defensively. I like the Maury Stoudemire comparison for that reason, because he's going to put up these stats and he's going to put up these numbers, but he's not going to be able to defend.
No.
The comp I had for him was actually Kenyon Martin.
Oh, okay.
Because of the way, Martin could kind of attack the offensive glass a little bit, not to the extent of Bagley. There's also a false narrative that Bagley can shoot. I don't think he can shoot that well. I think it needs a lot of improvement.
Oh yeah.
I don't see Chris Bosh. There's like Chris Bosh comparisons. I don't see that. And then. Yeah, so that's those. The guy that I do think can defend, though, is Jaren Jackson. I think he's a guy that's like a perfect pick for Memphis. You think about like that Grindhouse.
Yeah.
He is a perfectly suited for that. I mean, he can defend any position. Positionless defender. You can put him out on the perimeter. He's got quick feet for a guy his size. He can defend the rim. He blocked like 3 shots a game. He's the best defender in the draft. Can he bring it offensively? I don't know. He's got that shot that I think needs a little bit of work. He shoots a little low.
Oh, it's ugly.
Yeah. It's because that shot's a little ugly. You're hearing some like Joakim Noah comparisons.
Chauncey said that. I didn't see that at all.
Yeah. I like Jaren Jackson like a little bit. I don't think superstar or anything again, but again, like you think of that solid role player that's going to be a great defender. I think it's him. I think he's got some things.
His offensive game needs to be refined, but he can learn under Marc Gasol. He's going to be able to go in there and not have to really produce for a top 5 pick. He's going to slowly come along, I think. But you team him up with Gasol. Gasol's not really a defenseman. He's more of an offensive guy. You can have Jaren Jackson play the 4 and block everything out there. And I think he's about 6'11", 7 foot. So he'll be able to try to block one of his shots, even though they're a little bit low. It's going to be hard to block them even.
Yeah.
I thought everybody in the top 5 did a really good job. Other than the Hawks, I'm still blown.
No, they're idiots. Trae Young is not going to be a superstar. I'm sorry. There's so many Steph Curry comparisons, but his game is actually more geared towards like Jimmer Fredette. You watch Oklahoma, like you watch these 3 programs: Steph Curry at Davidson, you watch Jimmer Fredette at BYU, and you watch Trae Young at Oklahoma. The offense runs through them. They are the offense. they have to learn now how to play an NBA game where they have teammates.
Yeah.
Trae Young, there are worries with me about his athleticism. I don't know how he's going to shake these physical, athletic defenders. I don't see it. He's got a great shot, obviously, but it's poor shot selection. As great as his vision is, he also makes a lot of poor decisions. There's a lot of turnovers in his game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's rail skinny. I think Curry had at least better build than him coming out of Davidson. I don't see Trae Young. I don't see it. I could be wrong.
I don't see it either, just because of what you touched on. He is very skinny and small. He didn't play a lick of defense when he was at Oklahoma, and I feel like the way the Warriors have played basketball, it's made everybody enamored with shooters and like, we got to have the shooter. This guy can pull up from 30 feet. He's got to be the next Steph Curry. Well, I don't think so at all. Like, yeah, he led the nation in points and assists, but he was the entire team. He had to do everything. So, of course, he's going to pull up from 30 feet. And the first half of the season, it was all fun and great, and he was all over SportsCenter. But look what happened when teams adjusted and really figured out how to shut him down. Remember Buddy Hield was kind of the same way. And then he got into the NBA, and he wasn't anything special. So I think that's what's going to happen with Trae Young. So for you to be sitting there at 3 and have your choice of Luka Doncic, who's, a physical specimen and has great vision and somebody you could build around, to whereas Trae Young's more like a glue guy, I feel, like a specialist. Maybe just sit behind the three-point arc and launch those shots. But, I mean, you never know, and we'll see. I don't see it either. I thought that was a huge mistake by Atlanta.
Yeah, me too. All right. Anything else you liked in the draft? I'll look at a couple comments and we'll kind of look at that.
I feel so bad for, whoever gets drafted by the Knicks, because they always get booed out. Remember, like when they booed out the unicorn?
Well, I like the Kevin Knox pick. So you can't look at that one.
That's what I mean. Like this poor kid, they're Michael Porter Jr. and he's sitting here. I think Kevin Knox is going to be a really good prospect for them.
I agree. I like Kevin Knox.
He's got the ability to score on any facet, and they get so overlooked in Kentucky because of the system, and you have so many 5-star recruits, they're not asked to do a lot, so you don't see a lot. And I think it's going to open up when he does get there, the New York Knicks. I thought that was a good pick, and they're going to be eating crow because they were wrong about Porzingis, and they're going to be wrong about Knox too.
All right. I'm looking at comments. We got TTP Ballin saying, and now we have Zaire. Markel is more expendable considering they're the same position. If we put together a package for Markel, a future protected first, and 2021 unprotected, I'm all in.
I don't think they're the same position now. I feel like he's going to play some 3 for us.
Yeah, I see. Like, just because they're the same position doesn't mean they're the same player.
Right.
He's going to be a guy that, like, you can't just, like, designate a 2 or a 3 or whatever. He can guard one. He can actually guard power forwards, actually. Yeah. He did that, too, at Texas Tech. He's a 6'4" guy that plays like a power forward, honestly, because of the way he rebounds and athletic as he is and his wingspan. He kind of plays like a big guy. I can see that, playing more like a 3. Just because he's 6'4" doesn't mean he's going to be a 2.
Exactly, and you look at the way the NBA is, turning into positionless basketball just because he's 6'4". Look at Draymond Green. He's not a true power forward, and he's made it work in the league. It just doesn't matter. He's got long arms. He even guarded Mo Bamba in college. And that dude's a freaking monster. He's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And I thought that was that's one thing. What is wrong with Orlando? Every year they just take the most longest and athletic guy, and they just never go anywhere. Like Aaron Gordon, Mo Bamba, Jonathan Isaacs. Like, what are you doing, Orlando? Bad pick.
That's what they do. They just want to suck for the next 50 years.
It's a shame. The curse. Ever since they lost Shaq, they just don't know what to do.
Yeah. Kay Young says Mikal was a fucking star. See, like, there's a lot of these people out there that were very, very high on Mikal Bridges and thought that he'd be a star in the NBA. I don't see star. I see a very solid player that's going to be good for the next 10 years, but I don't see like multiple-time All-Star or anything.
He's a glue guy. He's a 3-and-D guy. He is what he is. He's like a little bit better Bruce Bowen, like a better shooter, I think. But he's a technician. That's all he is. I don't see him being a superstar or anything like that. There's no growth for him. He's plateaued. He is what he is.
Dylan Laughlin is very high on Landry Shamet. He says, I'm pretty high on Landry Shamet because he's going to be the guy on the floor that Ben Simmons can kick the ball out to, and he'll knock it down. There's no player like Zaire Smith in the NBA.
We'll see with Shamet. I'll be interested to see if he plays with Simmons. I could see him playing more of a backup role when Simmons is out, but who knows? Maybe Brett mixes it up and see if they can play together.
Yeah. Let's see. Eric R says, I was pissed too, but Brett made a very good move that I would have been fine with even if we had the 5th pick.
Wait, even if we had the 5th pick?
Yeah. I'm guessing he's saying he would have traded the 5th for the 16th.
And still took Zaire Smith at 5?
I'm not really sure what he's trying to say. I think he means if we would have had the 5th pick, and if we would have traded that 5th, whoever the 5th pick was, to Phoenix for Zaire Smith.
In the same situation, we were just higher in the draft. Okay.
Yeah. Sean Fitzpatrick says, I'm leery of Kawhi, injury prone, and wants to stay in Los Angeles, or wants to play in Los Angeles.
The deal doesn't get done unless Kawhi signs an extension.
Yeah. It's one of those things. You're not just going to bring him in here for a year. You would absolutely extend him. You're not just going to – no. That would be stupid as fuck to bring him in for a year and then not extend him.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to give up significant pieces like a Dario or a Markelle or whoever they want to package, or that 2021 pick, it's not just for a one-year rental. And then you try to – kind of like what the Oklahoma City Thunder are in a situation right now. He didn't sign an extension, so they're trying everything they could to get him to re-sign. It's just not worth it. Even though they didn't give up that much to obtain Paul George, I don't think the Sixers even try to attempt anything like that.
Yeah, and the thing, too, about, all right, he wants to play in Los Angeles or, wants to be in Los Angeles. Do we even know these reports are true? We don't know. I am always very leery of reports, and, me being a media guy myself, people are trying to sell papers, and people are trying to get clicks and get views. So what's somebody going to say? Oh, he might be wanting to go to Los Angeles. He basically, when you see reports like this, they might have heard one little quote, one little line, one little saying, and they just take it and they spin it, and then they have a report oh, he wants to play in Los Angeles, where the truth might actually be, okay, he might want to play in Los Angeles, not that he wants to play. It's just one of his listed destinations.
Right. He's from there. He probably wants to play for his hometown Lakers, much like Paul George does. It
doesn't mean that the report's not true. We just got to be careful.
Right. Who really knows? He could possibly want to play in New York, too, because his uncle lives out there. Or he might stay in San Antonio. We don't know what's going to happen. This is going to be a very long off season.
Yeah. EDP is in the building.
Oh, snap.
EDP's in the building. What's up, dude? I don't know if he's still in here, but we'll see if he chimes back in.
Now, I don't think he gets as frustrated with the Sixers as much as he does with the Eagles.
No, I think he's tuning in because he's at work and he's bored, so he's watching his little boys. Let's see. Ron G's 302 says, "Why didn't we move up last night? I don't get it. All to hope we land a superstar."
For who? Who did you want to move up to obtain, Ron?
Yeah, I honestly, I had no desire of moving up because of this class. I didn't think there was that star player, so I was cool with that report. Scared me seeing that they wanted to give up a couple picks to go into the top 5 and draft Michael Porter. That would have meant literally if that trade would have actually happened and they would have drafted Michael Porter, they basically would have used 4 draft picks on Michael Porter because you had to trade up for Fultz, so that's 2 picks there. You would have included the 10 and the 26, right? That was the trade. Yeah. So that's 4 draft picks for one guy, Michael Porter.
And I think that was before they looked at his medical records too. before they wanted to see if he was like okay, and if he was cleared, then they probably would have pulled the trigger on him. But that you're right, that would have been a lot to obtain an unproven guy that's got huge spine issues.
Yeah. We have a Suns fan in the building. I don't know if he's trolling or not. We love your boy Mikal Bridges. Good. He's a good player. Solid player for you guys.
Yeah, you guys had a good draft.
And then he's trolling, saying Hawks got a better deal than you guys. I don't know. I don't know. I thought what Atlanta did was stupid as fuck. But
yeah, I thought that was a boneheaded play, and they're going to be in the basement for a very long time for doing that. I mean, you have Dennis Schroeder too. Like, what are you going to do with him and Trae Young? They play the same position.
He goes, you lost your hometown guy and have to wait 3 long years to maybe get a superstar. Ha 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 ha.
Well, he's not a superstar.
Well, the kid looks like he's fucking 13, so clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, it's not going to take 3 years. And Zaire Smith might actually be better than Mikal Bridges, and they got a 2021 first. So you are a fucking idiot. So they got a better player, potentially, and they got an unprotected first. How is that a bad trade? You're a Suns fan. How the fuck do you know?
A lot of losing.
God, the Suns are terrible.
Yeah. I mean, they did draft Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris.
Oh!
So enough said.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you this guy loved them too. They've
hit on one pick, dude. In the past, like,
they hit on Devin Booker, and that was it.
That was it. And TJ Warren's all right, but like, you took Alex Len in the lottery too. Like,
I knew he was a bust.
Garbage, dude. Just garbage. There's a reason they're, picking first.
Yeah. Ron is asking Adrian, why didn't we get Phoenix's 2019 first-round pick for Mikal? Well, they got the 2021 because Phoenix is going to be bad again. So, and
that's a Miami pick anyway. That 2021 was from Miami essentially, and we don't know what the Suns really, if they even have their own pick or if they traded it off. I mean, I don't really know. So he was willing to trade Markelle for their 2019 pick if they own it.
The Suns guy is saying Zaire's a bust. So clearly he's just trolling because he can't even tell us why he's a bust. So if you can't tell us why, dude, then get out of the chat because you're not on our level.
Yeah, that's just have an explanation.
Yeah. Philly 500.
What's up?
Yeah. Don't we need some offensive scorers?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely we do.
But I think that's why they're pegging on either getting whoever, Kawhi or LeBron, to fill that 3 spot.
They're hoping they can land, a guy that can score. That's what this is coming down to. But look, there's a couple things they need. Like, they need a guy that can create his own shot, and they needed a wing defender, a guy that can kind of combat with Boston. I mean, Zaire Smith might be the guy that's on Kyrie Irving for the next 5 years,
Yeah, the shot, if he stays in Boston, right, they could end up trading him too. I mean, it's going to be a pretty wild offseason. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And we also need a backup center, so we still have pieces other to get. We can't just put all our eggs in one basket just to go get LeBron and or Kyrie. We have other pieces that we have to fill.
Yeah. Larry Savage says Zaire about to go to San Antonio, Kawhi and LeBron. Duh. Well, first thing, spell Zaire's name right, dude. Come on. Zahair. What the fuck is that?
So he thinks that we're going to trade Zaire to San Antonio and then
let's see, 16th, 26th pick plus a future one. It's going to take more than that though, probably.
Yeah. It's going to take like a slam dunk. I feel like the Spurs are going to want like 3 first-round picks.
They want Fultz. They're going to want Fultz.
You think?
I would think so. Obviously, they would want Fultz. But,
so what are they going to do with DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, and then Fultz? Three shooting guards.
Well, fucking one of those can be a 3. And another guy can come off the bench. I
True.
mean, um, I don't know. Zaire Smith kind of seems to be like a San Antonio guy, though. Like I will say that, like he kind of fits that mold of what they like to do. Yep. FedQ, be nice to the young Suns fan. He's only 12.
He's got to take his lumps. He's got to learn.
Yeah. Hey, Adrian, Kyle. I really hope Jonah Bolden ends up being worth the wait after losing out on Michael. You know, I love Jonah Bolden. I think he can be a guy, again, like one of those positionless defenders that is so popular in today's NBA because of all the switching and all the ball screens and stuff. Jonah Bolden, I'm intrigued by his upside defensively.
Yeah, me too. And he can handle the rock a little bit, shoot. He does a little bit of everything. Nothing spectacular, all just pretty good. And I'm wondering if we are going to chase them. Maybe that's who they figure is going to be our backup center then. Maybe Jonah Bolden comes and fills that void. But can we get rid of Timothy whatever
Cabarrot?
Yeah, TCL.
Yeah.
TLC, whatever the hell his name is. That Frenchie bum.
The Suns fan has come back. So here is his rebuttal. He's not a good shooter, has a slow release, misses jump shots. He's such a bad shooter that he shot 45% from 3 last year. So get your fucking facts right, dude.
Yeah, like come on.
The guy, he says he's not a good shooter, but the facts, all right, 72% from the foul line, that conveys shooting potential.
Yeah.
45% from 3, shot more 3-pointers as the year went along. That sounds like a good shooter to me. That doesn't sound like a bad shooter.
45% is a really good percentage from downtown.
Maybe this guy doesn't know that.
That's true.
I mean, he's a 12-year-old Suns fan that's had to watch them draft nothing but garbage for the last 5 years.
Oof. That's got to be rough watching all them. And they didn't even try to tank. They were just they were actually trying to win. It's a shame.
The Suns. Does Korkmaz play a role next year? I say no. I think he stinks.
Yeah, those two picks that we got with him and
Frenchie TLC are both bad.
They're bad. They were bad picks. We shouldn't have made them. I don't think they're they need a lot of time in the G League. Let's just put it at that. Yeah. I'd like to have Korkmaz because he's got a quick release, so maybe we could salvage something from him. But Frenchie's got to go.
I'd say Korkmaz does have more like upside, than Frenchie TLC or
TCL.
What?
No, it is TLC.
Now I'm confusing myself too.
Just call him Frenchie.
Yeah, he's Frenchie. He's Wawa.
Yeah, Wawa, exactly. Wawa Cabarrot. He's got to go.
Yeah. Was Trayvon Duval available last night? If he was, I think he was at least worth our last pick.
Yeah, I think he was available.
I think he was, yeah.
I really wanted to get Gary Trent, to tell you the truth, and he was taken like 3 picks before us.
Yeah.
In the second round, then he went to Sacramento. I thought he would have fit in well. 6'6" guard that can really knock it down. Scorcher from downtown. But we wouldn't have kept him anyway if we drafted him, so it is what it is. Maybe take him with the 26th pick instead of Shaman.
We actually – all right, so Philly 0024 actually makes a good point here. We actually got the Lakers pick from the Suns, and they traded all those assets to get it back. Ha, ha, ha.
Wait, the one that we got for Michael Carter-Williams, that pick? Wait, which pick?
It says we actually got the Lakers pick from the Suns, and they traded all those assets to get it back.
Huh. Interesting. Nice.
EDP is still here. Adrian, why is it so hot in Bakersfield, California? Bro, I have no idea. I think God just hates you.
Well, at least it's nice there 24/7. They don't have winter.
But dude, like, it's hot. Like he texted me like the weather forecast is like 100 degrees every fucking day.
Oh man, I flew into Bakersfield a few years ago. I mean, luckily it was in July, but it wasn't that hot. I mean, that's right by, is that by Oakland, Bakersfield? That's not far from Oakland, right?
I'm trying to remember what EDP told me. Aren't you like 30 minutes from fucking LA, EDP? Or is that 2 hours? What am I getting wrong? LA is 2 hours or is it 30 minutes? LA.
Oh, it's okay. So it's near LA. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Philly 500. Philly 500 is also from California, so he knows these things.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, Philly 500. Well, he's originally from okay. Oh, so EDP is 2 hours from LA, so that's what he told me.
Okay.
All right. So I'm trying to remember what you're 30 minutes from. I think maybe that's 30 minutes from Oakland. Then maybe could be right.
Man, we're living it up. It's like 71 here today. It's really nice here today.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Philly wanted to trade up in the teens for Lonnie Walker.
I loved Lonnie Walker. I wanted Lonnie Walker really bad.
Yeah. Lonnie Walker was like the big riser and the big kind of sleeper for a lot of people. But my big sleeper was Zaire Smith and not Lonnie Walker. So.
Oh, he fell in a perfect situation.
Yeah. Dude, I'm 6 hours from Oakland.
Oh, 6 hours. Oh, all right.
God, I thought there was a spot you're like 40 minutes from. I forget, man. I forget. I don't know California. I'm all the way here on the East Coast. Call me crazy, but I actually think Shamet could be as good or better than Trae Young, says Philly 0024. That's a bold statement.
That is a bold statement.
Yeah.
I hope he does convey into something. He's got a roster spot. So we'll see what he does in Summer League. I hope he opens some eyes. We need some shooting.
I like the trade, just could have handled it better, says Reed Embiid.
I guess because they waited so long. Well, I mean, they may have stuck with just Bridges, but they probably threw that pick in and just it was too good of an offer to pass up. So maybe they were going to stick with Bridges and then they counter-offered and threw that pick in and said, let's get it done.
EDP, I'm 30 minutes from hell, 10 minutes from a heat stroke, and 2 minutes from scarlet fever. Oh.
You got to move up further north in California than EDP. It can't be hot up there or as hot. There's no humidity in California, though. That dry heat. Still hot. 100 degrees is still 100 degrees.
We'll like FaceTime at times, and like he'll be in a parking lot. You can just see the fucking heat just rising from the asphalt.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not all about that 100-degree weather. It's awful.
People got to stop the Trae Young hate. Let that man play a game first. Average 28 and 9 in college, and y'all acting like he can't play at all.
College.
That's basically what Jimmer Fredette did, and they're basically the same player.
Exactly. And I think Buddy Hield averaged, in the 20s too, and he ain't nothing special. That doesn't mean anything.
He averaged 28 and 9 because he basically had the ball the entire game.
He shot like 40 shots a game. He freaking
shot a lot of shots, a lot of contested shots. He turned the ball over a lot. So it's great that he had all those assists, but he also led the nation in turnovers. I'm not as high on him. I could be wrong, man. It's like, I don't want to say I'm a Trae Young hater. I want to say that I'm a Trae Young realist.
Yeah, I don't.
People like offense. Offense sells tickets. That's why Atlanta drafted him.
Yep, pretty much.
So, yes, that's pretty much it. Trae Young, great outfit last night. Styling.
Oh man, he looked like Jiminy Cricket, dude. What the hell was that? Like, come on.
Zaire Smith don't really got dribbling skills. All right, you're still not – well, this is the Suns fan again. He doesn't even know how to spell Zaire Smith, so he's saying he's a bust, and then he doesn't even know how to spell his fucking name.
Well, just because he doesn't know how to dribble, well, not every prospect –
Look, Sean Marion basically went through his whole career without dribbling, so he's pretty good. it also what Curry did. I'm not saying by any means he will beat Curry, but let's give him a chance to show what he can do. Curry, no, not what Curry, no, because Curry took better shots. I don't know how to describe it, but Curry's just. I think he's got better feel for the game than Trae Young. Trae Young has a feel for the game, but he also just takes so many just bad shots, and he takes those bad shots because sometimes when he gets a guy that's more physical and quicker than him, he has to take those contested shots because he can't get past the defender.
Yeah, I don't think he's got the ball handling that Steph Curry has, and I don't think his shot is as good. It's Steph Curry. I just think it's unfair just because they do a lot of the same things in college. But you look at the better numbers, I thought Steph Curry just – if you watch Steph Curry play versus Trae Young, you could just say they're a different player. They're not the same. Yeah, it's a very unfair comparison.
Yeah. I think like he's more closer to Steve Nash than he like in terms of what his game is than Steph Curry because of the hesitation dribbles and the floaters and all that stuff. Like I think he's he's not Curry.
Well, I don't think we'll ever see another Curry, dude.
Curry's just like he is what he is, you know.
Unbelievable.
Zaire Smith versus Mikal Bridges 1-on-1. Mikal wins every time.
Okay.
Cool, dude. But you also gave us a unprotected first. So we got the same player and we got a first-round pick that could go top 10. So he took all those bad shots because the coach at Oklahoma let him do whatever he wanted rather than groom him and teach him to be a fundamental hooper. Well, that's kind of one of my points I made was he let him do whatever he wanted. Now he's got to fit into a team setting where he can't do what he wants. And there's actually reports out there, whether they're true or not, that he actually had a bad attitude. It's kind of hard to believe, but that's something that like Adrian Wojnarowski was talking about.
He had a chip on his shoulder because he only got recruited by Oklahoma. He wasn't really like a sought after prospect, and I did hear that he did have a bad attitude towards him and the coach for being at a program like Oklahoma. Like the Kentuckys and stuff didn't go after him, so he felt like he had a chip on his shoulder.
The reason why I'm saying Jimmer Fredette is the defense. Like Trae Young can go do his thing in China and score all those points, but like here, like in the NBA, where you got to defend,
got to play D.
He's gonna get roasted, man, defensively.
Well, they got him to put butts in the seats. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all they're doing.
So yeah, I mean it's a good debate, TTB Ballin. I mean I'm not gonna hate you for your obviously your opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
But if you look what the Hawks did, other than that pick, they did have a good draft because they surrounded him with all perimeter shooting. So if he is able to break down the defense, he's going to be able to kick it out to guys that are going to be able to hit wide open threes.
And that's the thing is like I don't know if he can break down a defense like Curry can because you put somebody physical and quick on him. I mean, we'll see. He needs the beneficiary of the officials in the hand check rule.
Mm-hmm.
He needs the hand check rule.
We'll see what happens. I'll be keeping a close eye on it, like a couple of these prospects. It's going to be a fun year.
Yeah. All right, so the Suns guy is still in trolling mode. He thinks LeBron James is going to the Suns. They're going to win championships.
What?
He's not going to Phoenix, dude. Relax. Hey, Adrian, LeBron would rather go to the Sixers because they have playoff experience and they're a young 50-win team, while Lakers don't have the experience. I agree with that. This LeBron thing, if I'm right about him, that he's obsessed with catching MJ, he will come to Philly over LA.
Yeah, there's nothing in LA. They don't have the transcendent players like Philadelphia does, and we have better assets than they do. And we're in the East and they're in the West. So just to get to a title, they'd still have to go through the Warriors. But at least with the Sixers, they'd be facing them. So why would you go out to LA? It doesn't make the only thing that they have is the allure of the the city, the big city lights.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether the rumor is true that like his kids are going to like an LA school. I don't know. They also said that about Philly too. So, you know, you never know what you believe. We're not going to know what's going to happen until free agency actually starts. We have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, they said he was going to during his first decision. Like nobody saw Miami. He went to Miami, so we don't know.
We have no clue. And I mean, you remember years ago when LeBron, Melo, and Chris Paul all wanted to play together. I mean, there was reports that LeBron was checking into schools for his kid in Houston. I mean, you don't know. All these reports are going to be popping up. We won't find out until July 1st hits.
Got to remember, people want to sell papers. People want to get clicks. So anything LeBron, it's going to sell. It's going to be read. And shit like that, it's going to get out to us in Philly. We're going to take it too seriously. So that's the shit that kind of happens.
Get your hopes up. It does.
Okay. All right. I'm not even talking to the Suns guy anymore. He's just being stupid now. Well, he was being stupid before, but you know. TTP Ballin, I appreciate the discussion. This free agency going to be crazy. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. We went an hour, dude. So we already pretty far in here. You got any final thoughts?
Okay, yeah. If we don't chase Kawhi Leonard or whatever, who is the top player on your priority list to get into Philadelphia that you think we can obtain?
Oh, LeBron.
Other than LeBron, okay, I should reword that. Other than the two, superstars that are out there, say we can't get either LeBron or Kawhi. Who is the main guy on your list that you would like to acquire via trade or free agency?
Well, then it'd be Paul George, but I'm not like – I want to make sure I word this correctly because I'm not a Paul George hater. I don't want to say it would be a disappointment if we got him. Maybe a little underwhelming considering like what could have been. And then you get Paul George, a guy that kind of doesn't really rise to the occasion. But I'd say Paul George. Like you're going to hear your trade for this guy, trade for that guy. Probably like I've heard somebody say trade for Karl Anthony Towns. Like that's not going to happen.
Oh, no. Hell no.
Like what realistic trade is out there? We don't know yet right now. Like I just saw somebody in the chat say Devin Booker.
No.
They're not going to be able to get Devin Booker. So, yeah, PG would be my guy, but like I do think he's overrated.
Okay. I like that. And I was thinking if we don't get anything done this year, I mean, I'd have to see when the free agents are, but if Markelle, God forbid, doesn't pan out, that we possibly trade for CJ McCollum and they break that squad up because I feel like if they get knocked out within the first round again, that they're going to try to break up that duo.
Yeah. Somebody said Mikey Miss says names like Bradley Beal, CJ McCollum, DeRozan, etc.
Mike Missinelli said we should trade Ben Simmons to obtain LeBron James. So I take what Mikey Miss says with a grain of salt because he was willing to trade either him or Embiid to get LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard in here.
Yeah, I mean, like these three names right here, Beal, McCollum, DeRozan, like why would Washington trade Beal? Why would Portland trade McCollum? Why would Toronto trade DeRozan?
Because I could see any of those actually happening because look what they've done up until this point. They've been together for how long? Washington, they never really improved. They're just
so they're ready to kind of blow things up then if they're going to trade Beal to Philly. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I could see that happening. And the same with Portland.
They'd have to trade John Wall too, and then Portland would have to trade Lillard and McCollum.
But why would they have to trade John Wall? Why not just trade Bradley Beal and then try to get another piece in there? And because Wall's really like their centerpiece, even though he's been in the league for 8 years now. So I get, is that what you're saying? Because he's a little.
If you trade Beal, and all you have is like Wall, what can you like? Because if you're going to trade Beal, you're going to want assets basically, and assets basically kind of signifies a rebuild.
Rebuild could be. I mean. It could be to that point because, look, every year they're just not good enough to do anything. They're always, like, in the middle, and they've been like that for years. The same with McCollum and
Lillard?
Yeah. You know, they've been out there. They did really good this year, but they got knocked out by the Pelicans. It's like, how long is it going to be before they just blow it up again? I mean, him and Aldridge couldn't get it done. So how long is that duo really going to last? So I feel like they could possibly listen for offers like, let's get another asset in here. Let's see if we can do something with that unprotected pick to possibly pair with D. Lil out there.
Yeah. And well, the thing about Beal, too, is he signed like that huge contract. I don't even know if I'd want him.
I don't want him because he's injury prone.
That, too. Yeah. But those three names, Beal, McCollum, or DeRozan,
I'd take McCollum over anybody.
I'd probably take McCollum over all of them. Yeah.
I want nothing to do with DeRozan.
I like DeRozan, though, but like there's something about him in the playoffs.
He chokes. He don't show up.
Yeah. What are you guys seeing Luka Doncic being incredibly talented, but I think his athleticism will limit him? Well, I said earlier, I think he's the best. Yeah, actually, we meant to do final thoughts. So, well, I'll answer that question real quick. I think he's the best player in the draft, but he's the best player in a underwhelming draft, in a draft that I think lacks superstars. I think there's going to be solid players here. I just don't think there's a superstar. So because of that, I think the guy with the highest floor, not the highest ceiling, but the highest floor is Luka Doncic. I think there's a lot of things that he can do. And he's a Ben Simmons light. He can shoot better than Ben Simmons. He's not as athletic as Ben Simmons, but the vision and the handles, it's all there.
He's crafty with the ball. He makes up for it. Being able to move, not being so fluid, he's able to, get to his spots and shoot. I think being able to shoot really helps him, and I wish Ben would take a page out of his book and just try to attempt to take some shots this offseason. Now he's being cheated on by Kendall Jenner. I mean, this is just bad news. He's got to kick that hoe. He's got to hit that joint and quit it. Hit it and quit it, Ben. You don't want nothing to do with that.
I don't know, man. I'd want something to do with Kendall Jenner if I could hit it and quit it a little bit.
Yeah, hit it and quit it.
A little summer fling, man. A little summer fling.
That's all they need. We don't need that mess during the offseason. Look at every NBA prospect they've been with. They've ripped down the shreds. Lamar Odom's almost killed himself 3 times.
Well, at least she's a Jenner and not a Kardashian.
True. That's true.
Although there's not really a difference.
They're mended together. I mean, they're taking Bruce or whatever they want to call him, Megan or whatever his name is, whatever, since he had his sex change. It's like, that family's just whack. You got to stay far away from all of them. I mean, look at that mother did. It turned Bruce into a woman. What is he going to do to Ben? Just stay away from it, Ben. She's hot, but that's why you just hit it and quit it.
Oh, my God. See, now you're getting me into – he's going to – so Ben Simmons is going to turn into a woman now and then take over the WNBA.
What, he is? Wait, what? Like Joanna Man? Like that movie Joanna Man?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I hope not.
All right, so we're just about out of here. I'm going to read off one more comment just because it was a nice comment. So COD XRYU, he says, I'm becoming a sports journalist, and you guys are my influence. So, and he says, Adrian, Kyle, keep up the good work. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That. And, yeah, thanks a lot for that.
Follow your dreams, man.
Yeah.
Never give up on it. Continue to do your journalism thing and just keep on doing your thing. Don't let nobody tell you. Don't let the stuff get you down. You just keep plowing through.
If you truly want to make it, you have to work your fucking ass off. Just do whatever you can. That's all I can say. Like I started YouTube to practice, and that's what I did. So I think, use social media and use everything at your disposal. Because, there's a myth that's like, all right, they say, oh, you can only make it in media, due to your connections. We live in a society now where we don't need that anymore. Connections are irrelevant because now our connection is social media and our connection is YouTube, where we can be found on our own because we now have a platform to use. So use all your platforms and just go get it, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely. Use Facebook, anything you can. And when you're tired, you just don't lay down. You just got to keep your nose to the grindstone and just keep going.
Yep.
Do it.
Get it, man. Just go get it. That's for anybody. If anybody that wants to be a sports journalist, just go get it. So All right. That's it. That's it from us, man. We went a while. I was not expecting an hour show, but there we are.
What happens? I love it, man. Talking sports, could do it all day.
And I need to trim my beard because this thing is hideous.
It's pretty grisly. You look like the brawny guy on Paper Towel John.
Exactly what I'm going for. Exactly what I'm going for. But I'm not getting gray yet, so that's the good thing.
That's positive.
Yeah. So I'm not like Kevin Love in that aspect.
You just be doing the Just for Men commercials then.
Yeah.
Like Hernandez.
All right. That's Kyle Gaffner. I'm Adrian Fecke. We're out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the draft. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. And the Suns troll did say he was trolling, and he was just having fun. So we appreciate the trolling there, little man. So there it is. But thanks for tuning in and watching, even though you were trolling. So thanks for that. Kyle Gaffner, I'm Adrian Fecke. We're out. Peace.
Peace.